All right, everyone. It's your man, the Mega Power TV, coming at you live on a Saturday morning, recording a video talking about I finally hit level 80. And what's funny is I just started recording this video and I was talking for about 10 minutes and my video had turned off in between, like recording had stopped. And I didn't realize it. So I kept talking and I have no clue how long I was going for until I realized that it was no longer recording. And there's not a lot of people that are watching this stuff anyways, so it's like I thought about like, should I just post like the first 10 minutes of the video that I have and like just start from there? But because I was cooking, or at least for me, I was cooking. Whether or not it's actually entertaining or not, I don't know. So you'll have to let me know down below. But I do think sometimes I represent sort of like a like a boomer bias, a boomer based part of this game in the sense that I've been playing for literally 20 years. And I'm middle aged. I'm going through a midlife crisis, and I'm still playing World of Warcraft. And I've got multiple kids, right? 3 of them. Too many of them, right? No, I'm just kidding, boys. And, just going through it all. I'm going back to school. The kids are in school. I'm working. The wife's working 2 jobs. Just living that middle-aged American lifestyle, right? Where you're time poverty, you have no money, you got a bunch of like debt, and you're just grinded. So living the American dream, right? And I'm happy to be playing World of Warcraft. And honestly, guys, I just hit level 80, and I'm feeling pretty good about it. I've always liked World of Warcraft, so I've never not wanted to play the game, but like right now I really want to play the game. And if you can guess where I am right now, comment down below, let me know where you're at. I just flew to a random spot and I haven't been here in years. So it's kind of fun to see the old world. And that's something I need to make notes to myself when I do these videos of like points that I want to talk about. And I should do that, right? Because I've got boomer brain and I can't remember the things that I want to talk about. And I think a lot of guys do scripting before they do their videos, and I don't. And maybe I should start to do that because as I've gotten older, my memory is just not the same. And I used to make fun of guys for being boomers like a decade ago, and I knew I was going to become one, but the transformation, I have fully transformed, ladies and gentlemen. And so like, not only is going through a midlife crisis and still playing World of Warcraft probably indicative of that, now the physical manifestations of that transformation are very apparent. Aside from the obvious ones of like a receding hairline and having to wear hats on videos because you don't want to look at yourself on screen, and it'll happen to the majority of us. And so let's talk about. I actually want to play the game right now. And I've always wanted to play the game, but I think the game is in like a good place right now. Like I'm finding the specs. I do think there's too many specs, but we won't get into that. I'm going to try not to get sidetracked. But I think that like right now I'm playing a paladin and I need to make a video about this. But the idea is for 20 years I've played, 19 years in 11 and a half, like almost 20 years, 19 years and 11 months, I have played a rogue as my main. And this is the first time that I will not be playing a rogue as my main, and I've switched to paladin, and it feels weird, but it's the right choice for me. And I started leveling my rogue the other night, and man, what they did to outlaw spec, oh, it's so sad to me. And I know it's been like this for a while, but I could tolerate it before, but now I really can't. The paladin, I like paladin a whole lot more than I do rogue right now. And so that's kind of weird after 19 years of representing a rogue that I don't want to do it anymore. But that it is what it is. It's time for change, right? So we're in the reinvention project, and so it's the Mega Power reinvention project. We even changed the name of the paladin to the Mega Power to symbolize that this is the main. He represents the main. So for the War Within, boys, This formerly was just a random rogue channel, right? Which we never really were very, very niched focused on that stuff because honestly, I can't provide good insight on the min-maxing part of this game. I represent the casual player base, the casually hardcore. Shout out to that old podcast. Does that still go? Because I know I came across the Instance the other day, which again, I'm getting sidetracked, but I was like, holy crap. The Instance still exists after all these years. I remember listening to it on World of Warcraft radio in 2006 and 2007, downloading it. And also, I talked about this in my previous video, so I'll talk about it again. One of my favorite podcasts on World of Warcraft radio was Octale and Hordak versus the World. There is an alternative universe in my mind where, as big as podcasting is now, that those guys who subsequently quit doing their podcasts like over a decade ago, if they were in the YouTube generation, like they would have like a successful podcast. No, it's not that they're not successful in whatever they're doing in their life, but what I mean is like they would have a big podcast, right? But they did it too soon. In terms, it's not that the timing was off by that they made the wrong choice. It's just for whatever reason that era had not shifted into it. So if they had done what they were doing in 2006, 2008, as opposed to maybe like 2012, 2014, 2016, you could see the difference. Now you could also make the argument World of Warcraft was in a different time, like so it may not have be as popular, but you'll get what I'm saying at, right? In an alternative universe, that podcast could still be going and those guys could have a big following. But it is what it is. So circling back, because that's something I struggle with, man. I'm having fun playing the game. I'm a Paladin now. I really like the way Paladin plays. My UI is a little clunky. I don't really know the rotations. But man, I'm having fun with this. And let's talk about what it is that I'm having fun with. I did BRD last night. And I was actually really never a big fan of BRD back in Vanilla/Classic. And it was really fun. And I did like the group finder part of BRD. But I don't know if there's an increased difficulty than what I did last night. But I really enjoyed the raid, or raid, whatever we want to call it. And honestly, I'm to the point where I really wouldn't want an increased difficulty compared to what I was playing. I'm perfectly fine if it was like a lower level of difficulty that I was doing, and it just like stays that way. Because I'm just awful at the game. And I think the majority of us are, and that's okay. And I actually think the more the player base is like me, that's actually more healthy for the game. And we could get into that in another video too, about kind of like this hardcore mindset that exists in World of Warcraft that really, really needs to have its own place to exist. But the expectation of that should be like, there's a box of people, right? I'll do that in frame. There's a box of people, and to my right, or in this case, to my left, your right, the hardcore audience should be like on the outside of the box, right? The casual audience should be the box. The super casual should be sort of like the other end of this, right? And everyone should really fit in the box. That's where you want the majority of player base. The casual player, the casually hardcore player who plays a lot, but it's not really good at the game in terms of like if we're going to do meters and parses and all on M+ running and like that kind of stuff, where they're playing consistently, but really like we're not min-maxing, right? To the highest degree. That's actually where you want your player base to be. And I think that sort of like is a good representation of a healthy MMO environment, especially World of Warcraft. And focusing on like the M+ world and the hardcore rating is really like when it really starts to limit the game. But getting back to BRD, if there is a higher level like of difficulty, I don't plan on doing it. I think the game is in like a good place right now. I've been having a ton of fun doing that. Flying around to the world dragons. Like I need to go get Emerus here Lord Kazik. I need to go get him. So it's fun to see that. That's part of obviously the 20-year anniversary plan. But I've been having fun doing that since I just hit 80. My gear is obviously awful, and I need to go get that done. I haven't been doing any dungeons. I haven't done a looking for raid even. I haven't PvP'd. All my gear has been collected just from doing the world dragons or world bosses, and it's actually been kind of fun to do that. So I've had fun doing the 20-year event. I'm trying to get XP buffs to then level my other guys up. And one thing that's been interesting, as we're moving into like this battle pass type experience in World of Warcraft, we're flying through content way too quick. Like, I realize I'm behind in an MMO, in the sense that like now we're moving on to a new island that's going to come out, and we're going to basically reset the gear and content already. And it feels weird, and I don't necessarily know if that's like an appropriate use or an efficient use of in-game assets and development time. And if I was a developer on that, I would really find that frustrating. And as a player who has a good perspective on this over 20 years, I would tell them that, like, man, that makes me concerned about your direction and also just like your scope and your understanding of time. And I'm sure they've all considered this, right? And they're looking at that battle pass model of we have to have content to move to. And my concern is I don't necessarily know if that's sustainable for your team. And so like, why are we moving on from like the spiders? Like, I guess that would be let's circle back to that, is we're already done with the Nerubians. And I saw the cutscene, which I haven't actually seen it in game myself, but where Xal'atath tells us that like we did her work for her so she could collect power, right? And it's like, oh, there's our swerve, right? But we literally went from like no conflict with the Nerubians to like now they're just done. And we should have had way more development in that. Like, why did we not have like mini dungeons inside of there where we have like these groups inside the spiders that are like, you know what? I'm a original queen loyalist, not to this current queen that like betrayed her mother. And like, who is this like magical Xal'atath here? Like, how do we know? Obviously, she's not going to betray us, which she ultimately was never on our side to begin with. There was a ton of story opportunity there that I'm not sure that they really explored. And for it to be over with already, like we've destroyed this civilization, essentially, which you could say, well, what was left of it, right? But anyways, like, and it's just gone. Like that. And I'll say this, as I was leveling, I didn't really get the sense in leveling that like there was some sort of like, they didn't do a lot of development with this spiders versus the Arathi thing. Like, I'm already level 80. I'm not even halfway through the underground zone. And apparently we're moving on from it. And it's just like, whoa, think of the amount of development time that's been put into this. And it's over. And we won't go back, and we're not going to use it. It's just a total waste. Like, you have these giant sections of it that are just there. And I thought about that as I was flying to this point. Like, I was trying to get to the Eastern Kingdom, and I flew through like the Twilight Highlands. And this is going to get me off on another tangent, but that's what I'm just going to go with because I can't stay on task anyways. Like, I'm all over the place. And we don't use the Twilight Highlands for anything. I really thought about this. Like, and this goes into another point of the world is too big. There's too many portals. The world's not connected enough. You need to shrink the world down. We actually just need a World of Warcraft 2, new world, new planet, blow up Azeroth. We move to a new planet. We start over. That would be great, in my opinion. I know people don't want to do that, but that's what we should do. For example, like the expansions, we don't need a new island that we're going to, because we will finish that island and never go back, and it'll just be an island that is never used. Sort of like right now we have the Twilight Highlands. We were there for Cho'Gall, back in the day, Blackwing Descent, and maybe like a few dungeons. I can't remember exactly. Um, but it's time for us to. Hey, I didn't expect a guy to come out here. We've got a level 80 druid just hanging out with me out here. Never thought of that. He must have wanted to get on the channel. Um, we'll never go back to that zone, and it's like, why are we not using the old world? Like, it's okay to update the old world. Like, man, the old world is so good. Eastern Kingdom Kalimdor, use that stuff. Use the Swamp of Sorrows. Hey, the the temple of whatever it is out there. One of my favorite places in Vanilla WoW. Underrated, which I was cool to see in Season of Discovery that they went back to it, right? Because it was always underrated in my opinion. But like, oh hey, there's been a lot of activity in the Swamp of Sorrows. We haven't, the lore, you could create the lore. Like, now there's all of these pyramids there, temples in the Swamp of Sorrows. We've got a full thing going on there. And you can have, instead of these giant content patches throughout the world of the game. No, the Scarlet Crusade deserves an entire expansion. And I actually think that we should be able to join the Scarlet Crusade personally. Like, I would like to be a Scarlet Crusader in the game, or I want to join the Amani, things like that. I think we should obliterate the Horde and Alliance and just have factions within the game. I think that would be cool, but that's another topic. But anyways, getting back to, like, we're using assets in the game, like in the world, and then we're like done with them too soon. And to me, like, the war with the Nerubians and the Queen, there was too much like story for it to be like a 2-month thing. I guess that's what I'm really getting at. Is like, we're already done with it. We kill the Queen and we're done. Like, one queen killed another queen and then we took care of her and then it's just over. Like, that just seems so quick, so soon. Like, that didn't cook at all, man. And so, like, we shouldn't be done with this already. There should be a build up. I know, like, Xal'atath is the main character, but we are just burning through stuff way too fast. And so I think, like, you could do many things inside of, like, a battle pass system, right? Like, why are we done with the Queen already? We could have had multiple patches leading up to her going through different zones, right? And removing portions of her kingdom. And like, hey, we're coming for you. And like, you should stop what you're doing, or Xal'atath will betray you. All these different things where, like, there's this back and forth dialogue. Instead of, like, we don't see the big bad. We don't see the big bad. We get to the big bad and now it's over, right? Just sort of like this narrative. And I know that this content patch was basically created years ago, so we're kind of like, it's hard to adjust on the fly. But man, there's definitely a missed opportunity there. And I hope bringing the one dude back, I can't remember his name, and I hope he fixes the story. But I know he's kind of handed a plate full of stuff for these next 3 things that he's got to develop. So getting on that's kind of my thoughts of, like, man, I'm level 80. I'm already behind, but it really doesn't matter in like a few weeks because we're just going to move on anyways. So I'm kind of like, what should I do right now? So that's why I've been just flying around doing world bosses. I really want to get into PvP. That's what I did like last expansion. And I do plan on doing that with the Paladin. I haven't looked into any of the gear or what I need to do. I know, like, last expansion, you would basically have to, like, craft a gear, like 2 gear pieces would be like your first thing. Make those as powerful as possible, and then work on your gladiator gear or whatever it was, which you would get your honor gear, and then you would get conquest or whatever it was to then get the better level PvP gear. And that was kind of where I tapped out as far as I suck at arenas or rated, whatever it is, or solo shuffle. I hope to God that, like, I can actually get that stuff without having to do solo shuffle. Like, I just like to play random battlegrounds and just play the game for fun. And I hope that I can, but we'll see what happens. Man, I forgot about the vault. Someone will have to tell me where the vault is too. So comment down below, man, if you know where the vault is, to tell me to go that. I had a unlock thing that said you've unlocked a part of your vault, which was good because I had forgotten about that. So Otherwise, if I can go to Valdrakken, I think I know how to get there. Actually, I don't. If someone said if you put me in Orgrimmar and said no portals, get to Valdrakken, I couldn't do it. I couldn't get to Dornogal. I couldn't get to pretty much anywhere. So, yeah, we got. Oh man, but yeah, overall, guys, I'm having fun, and we'll do another video. I've ranted for like 20 minutes, and I've gone in about 30 different directions, and I don't know if I even covered anything. So if you've got questions for me or comments, man, comment down below. I like responding to people that way too. This is sort of like just my ideas riffing, and I think I'm better. Let me rephrase that. I think because of my scatterbrain, I do a better job on live stream, but I don't have the time to do the live stream. Where I like that interaction of chat more, where I say something, someone can like respond to it right away, and then we can go from there. As in this format, I'm just talking at myself on camera, and I get all over the place. But I like it when people come in and chat. It gives me stuff to respond to, things to talk about, think about, all that kind of stuff. Let me know if you guys are having fun. I like where the game is at right now. I think we're in a good place. And yeah, I'm just excited for some more War Within. So, and it feels weird to be a paladin now after 20 years, but I like it. So, that's what I've got for you guys today. It's your man, the Mega Power TV. And I am out.